if you're using drugs, you're giving up everything for that one thing. And today I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to give up everything, the love of my family, the support, financial stability and progress and all that for that drug today. I'm just not willing to do that. So, I would rather have all those things than that one thing. And like my sponsor will use like an Adam and Eve like example. Like you can do anything in this beautiful garden. You just can't pick that apple. You know what I mean? Like, Luke, you can do anything you want in your life. There's just one thing that you cannot do, and that's use drugs, Because if you do, like you count everything else, any dreams or goals or aspirations you have, write them off, man. They're not going to happen. And that's like a powerful reality, that another one of those emotional reasons, like everything I've dreamed of, everything I want, like kiss it goodbye just for this short-lived high that's going to go away in fucking an hour I'm going to depend on. Like when I speak at rehabs, like I get a little more aggressive into the people. Like at the psych ward, it's more of a softer approach. But at rehabs, like I'll literally be like, what a fucking cop out to your one life. You know what I mean? To take this easy fucking bullshit way out where you get high as your only source of pleasure. You know what I mean? When there's all these great things you could do with your life. And that's the route that you want to choose. You know what I mean? I'll be like, fuck that, man. You know what I mean? I'll say that in my lead, and I'll see people like tear up almost because they're like, it's this sobering moment, no pun intended, but where they'll be like, wow, like I don't want to waste my life fucking doing that. You know what I mean? And they'll come up to me after and say, they got something out of that. But it really is the purest, primest example of evil, short-term, instant gratification, what feels good now. Like it's just, addiction is just the, rawest example of that. And, that's not the person that I want to be, it never was, but doesn't discriminate. It can grab a hold of anybody. You know what I mean? It's nothing to be ashamed of to be an addict. But another thing that I say to people, I'm still managing the sober living house, and my roommate relapsed recently. And what they'll do in recovery is a little bit soft for me at times. You relapse, you get a white key tag. It's a 1 day. We do clean time at recovery, where you celebrate 1 day, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 18 months, and then multiple years. And like somebody relapses, they get their 1 day key tag, and everyone gives them a hug, keep coming back. It's all right, buddy. I don't fucking do that, man. When somebody relapses, because somebody said this to me after a relapse and I needed it. He said, you know what? He said, what the fuck are you doing, man? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to fucking die and ruin your family's life. He's like, you're better than that. I had somebody say that to me. And I was like, I didn't need a little hug and it keep coming back at that moment. I needed somebody to be like, listen, dude, what are you doing? You're ruining your life. You're better than that. And I said that to my roommate yesterday. And I said, don't beat yourself up. That's another thing. Don't put the baseball bat down in the corner after a relapse. It doesn't serve you anything to fucking sit in self-pity and wallow. I'll give you a day to beat yourself up. Get back on track. Go to a meeting. Actually, I'll give you like a couple hours. Go to a meeting that night. If you relapsed, let's just establish one thing for anybody that's listening to this. And my counselor said this to me, okay? They're all multiple paths to recovery. The most proven and effective method that's readily available across the world in churches all over the place are 12-step fellowships. So if you don't accept the fact that a 12-step fellowship is your best way to recover, this is what my counselor said to me. He said, just be careful what you promise your loved ones. If you're not on board to work the 12 steps, be careful what you promise the people you love. Because, and I was like, it was like a dagger for me, because I was always involved in 12-step fellowships, but some people think that they don't need them. They think they're weird or they're a joke, or that there's other ways that can become buku religious, and maybe you can. But the best proven method for recovery to stay clean are NA or AA. You know what I mean? And what the other thing he said was, say you're drowning in the ocean from your addiction, and a lifeboat comes up. You know what I mean? Like, there's parts of the program that I think could be different, or that I don't love necessarily. But he said to me, don't not get on board the lifeboat because you don't like the color or you don't like the driver. You know what I mean? Like, don't look at the few things you don't like about the program and use those as a reason why you don't go. You know what I mean? Like, this is a readily available, put $1 in a basket if you want to. You don't even have to. Anybody's welcome program in churches and in recovery centers all across the country. Every single day, there's an NA and an AA app you can get on your phone. We'll show you where the meetings are, what time. Don't run from that because you find one or two things you don't like. You know what I mean? So anybody's listening, best statistical way to get clean long-term recovery is long-term inpatient treatment, 30 days in a facility. That was so important to me because you have to interrupt that pattern of living. To go away for 30 days, I would say this to people in treatment who are complaining. I would say this is a fucking privilege, man, that your insurance company, you're able to take a 30-day break from your work, from your family, from everything else and do nothing but just work on your biggest problem. This is not a burden, dude. This is a privilege. And when I started to look at treatment instead of just addiction, and I started to look at it as, I give a lot of credit to my counselor. This guy's like one of us, like a just super hyper-focused, awesome guy. He was like, just look at this as like personal development camp. You're here. Your biggest problem is addiction. You're here to handle it. You know what I mean? It could be somebody, it's like somebody like an overweight camp, you know? Stop thinking about the drugs and the addiction, he told me. You're here to handle your biggest problem. And it's a privilege to be able to do that and step back from all the life's responsibilities. That's why inpatient treatment is so important. You interrupt that pattern, no cell phones. You get into habits of reading books. It gets you on a regimented schedule. They always have fitness centers. It gets weight on you because you're eating 3 meals a day. It gets you introduced to the 12 steps. There's meetings every day. So rarely have I seen a person get clean on the street where they come into an NA or AA meeting and get a 1-day tag and they stay clean. The majority of people who have stayed clean went away. Then the next thing that increases your chances is sober living, where I went. You know what I mean? A 3/4 house or a halfway house, which can be humbling because you may have to live in a room with another grown man. You have to sign out on a board. You have to take drug tests. You have a curfew. You can't bring women back or whatever. Like, that's a humbling thing to think. But it's just a sacrifice. It's just a year or a year and a half or 6 months, whenever you feel you're ready to go. If you're not court ordered, you can go whenever. And it's now kind of getting like a little bit reversed. I've gotten comfortable there. Now it's time to move on. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like it's cheap rent and no one bothers me and I do what I need to do and I've gotten comfortable. And we all know the danger of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So it's time for me to step out and get a nicer place and have more responsibility. But long-term treatment, sober living, 12-step fellowship. If you do those things and you fully are committed and you don't half-ass it, you can recover.